Hello Year 8, short little video here to explain the bit of homework your teacher set for you. Really important bit of homework because it's building towards your assessment in a few weeks. So I'm just going to talk you through the information sheet, which you should have find attached in the email, and explain what you need to do. So first things first, as it says up here, okay, this homework is designed to help you with your forthcoming assessment. A lot of it's been covered in class, most of it's probably been covered in class. But it's all about consolidating. It's all about making sure you know the important bits to set you up for that assessment. The first thing I want you to think about, okay, and you can pause this video and get this done now. Why did Henry VIII want to divorce or annul his wedding, his marriage to Catherine of Aragon? Pause the video, write a sentence for that. If you're not sure, look it up online. To ensure full support for the Act of Supremacy. So I need you to just try and remember what that was. Henry VIII ordered that all public figures and clergymen swear the oath of supremacy. This oath stated that Henry was the supreme head of the Church of England. Those who refused to swear were tried for treason and executed. A group of Carthusian monks who were loyal to the Pope were among those who refused. As punishment, they were dragged through the streets of London and hanged, drawn and quartered at Tyburn. The abbot's arm was brought back to the abbey and nailed to the door. The monks' heads were placed on spikes above London Bridge. The most famous figure who refused was Henry's great friend Sir Thomas More. Remember, he's one of our houses at school is named after him. He was one of the most celebrated writers and thinkers in England. More became Lord Chancellor after the downfall of Thomas Wolsey, but only lasted 3 years before stepping down in 1532. As a devout Roman Catholic, More could not accept Henry's marriage to Anne. In 1534, he refused to swear the oath of supremacy and was locked in a dark, damp prison cell for 17 months. Henry pleaded with More to swear the oath, but his conscience would not allow him to change his mind. More was tried for treason and executed in 1535. On the scaffold, More said, "I die the king's good servant, but God's servant first." With Thomas Wolsey dead and Sir Thomas More executed, Henry needed a new chief minister. He chose Thomas Cromwell. Cromwell was born the son of a Putney blacksmith, but rose to become Chancellor of the Exchequer. Cromwell led an exciting life working as a mercenary, wool merchant, banker, lawyer along the way. A keen reader of Luther, Martin Luther, if we remember, from last year, one of the people who thought up or protested against the Catholic Church, and he was one of the people who started the Reformation. Cromwell pushed for further Protestant reforms. In particular, he proposed that all of England's monasteries and abbeys should be closed down. Monasteries had a 1,000-year history of providing education, prayer and charity to the people of England, but they were also accused of excessive wealth and corruption. Okay, remember this was one of Luther's complaints about the Catholic Church. Many of England's 800 monasteries were enormously wealthy, owning magnificent treasures and a quarter of the land in England. If they were closed, Cromwell told Henry his land and property would revert to the crown. Henry was in urgent need of money to fight more wars, so the dissolution of the monasteries began in 1536. After an accident whilst jousting, Henry's lifestyle and worldview started to change. During this period, Henry turned against Protestant ideas. So we're in the late 1530s. Okay? Late 1530s. It's a bit scruffy, but you know what I mean. Oops, it's not as easy as it looks to type on the screen. So, late 1530s. Put English Reformation into reverse. In 1539, Parliament passed the 6 Articles, reasserting Catholic doctrines such as celibate priests and transubstantiation, which you should all know about from your RE lessons. A year later, Henry beheaded his chief minister, Thomas Cromwell, for his Protestant sympathies, and for organising Henry's failed marriage to Anne Cleves. Henry was becoming increasingly tyrannical, and between 1532 and 1540, he executed 330 people. Protestants were burnt at the stake for being heretics. So a heretic is somebody who didn't believe in the right religion. Catholics were hanged, drawn and quartered for being traitors. And the king's relatives were beheaded for being seen as rivals to the throne. So that's a little bit about Henry's earlier life, and then something about his later life. Now what I want you to think about is what was his funeral like? So when he died, what was his funeral like? And then what does that suggest about his religious views? What does that suggest about his view on religion? Okay, so if you can't remember Again, go online, do some research. Okay, but it was in the book and we did talk about it in class. After Henry comes Edward VI. Following his death, Henry's only surviving son, Edward, became king. Edward was just 9 years old, known as the Boy King and the Godly Imp. Edward VI was very intelligent and a far stronger believer in the Reformation. Than his father. Henry had started the Reformation. The church remained Catholic throughout his reign. Okay, it simply didn't recognise the authority of the Pope in Rome. So under Henry, it started the Church of England, but it didn't change a lot. It still was very Catholic, okay, apart from not recognising the Pope. Edward passed further Protestant reforms to the English Church. Priests were allowed to marry. The Catholic Mass was abolished, and church service in English became compulsory. He also authorised the first prayer book in English, Thomas Cranmer's The Book of Common Prayer. However, Edward was an unhealthy and weak child. Aged only 15, sores appeared across his body, and he began to cough up blood. In 1553, Edward died, unmarried and childless. Henry VIII's nightmare of an unstable throne with no certain heir had become a reality. Once on the throne, Edward VI was advised by his uncle, the Duke of Somerset, and his strongly Protestant Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Cranmer. Okay, so Cranmer's a name worth remembering and thinking about. Any remaining Catholic features were rooted out of English churches. Altars, hanging crucifixes, shrines, rood screens, and statues were burned, while stained glass windows were smashed and wall paintings whitewashed. So effectively they had white paint thrown over the beautiful paintings to get rid of them. Catholic rituals and ceremonies such as Corpus Christi processions and creeping to the cross were banned. To most of England's poor, illiterate population, these colourful practices were fundamental to their belief, but from now on they were deprived of the religion they knew and loved. Rosaries, holy water, relics and icons were all banned from the Church of England. The old faith of medieval England had gone, and in its place was a new religion based not on ritual and superstition, but on the word of the Bible. So the Protestant Church strips everything back, makes it very simple, and it's just about somebody's relationship with God through the Bible. Okay? None of the ceremony, or none of the smells or the sights that you will experience in the Catholic Church. Right, so the task 3, and this is the main bit of the homework I need you to think about. Okay? I want you to draw a nice big version of this table. I want Henry VIII, what he does to reform the church, and what he does to retain the Catholic faith. Okay, and then Edward VI, does he do anything to reform the church? And does he do anything to retain the Catholic faith? Okay, so this box here is going to be quite big, isn't it? Because Edward does a lot. Okay, but we need to try and get some notes in as many of the boxes as possible. I'll leave that with you. You can print off the sheet, you can write on the sheet, you're working in your books. Any questions, ask your teacher or email me. Best of luck, and obviously your teacher will tell you when this is due in. Bye.